the channel, I take a look at the realities of life in turn of the 17th century England, just the way William Shakespeare would have lived it. And if you think you have headaches in your life, it turns out that someone who wrote close to 40 plays about Elizabethan and Jacobean life might have had a headache or two along the way as well. 16th and 17th century medical manuals talk about migraine headaches and exploring exactly what medical science understood about what caused a migraine for Shakespeare's lifetime is what we're going to find out right now on That Shakespeare Life. In Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet, the nurse complains, "Lord, how my head aches! What a head I have! It beats as it would fall in 20 pieces." That definitely sounds like a migraine to me, with the throbbing pain in particular. However, the reference made me wonder how migraine headaches were understood for Shakespeare's lifetime. Did medical science understand what was causing a migraine? How much did they know about blood vessels and pressure and all the different things that go into causing that? To find out what scientists believed caused a headache for Shakespeare's lifetime and whether migraine headaches specifically were understood as distinct from a regular headache, I sat down with Dr. Peter Kohler, who is the faculty of Health, Medicine, and Life Science at Maastricht University, and who has published extensively on the history of neuroscience and the understanding of migraines from the past. Here's what he had to say. I know in the mid to late 17th century, and this will be after Shakespeare. So Shakespeare died in 1616. So I'm talking about Thomas Willis, who is a physician that's considered the first physician to attribute migraines to dilated blood vessels, which of course is how we understand them today. But he was the first person credited with that. Peter, was this understanding about migraines? I realized Thomas Willis was the first person to be officially making this association, but were there any suspicions about that connection prior to the late 17th century, such that in Shakespeare's lifetime they might have made that connection between the blood and the brain, or did they believe migraines were caused by something else?
When reading an old text, I think we should be careful not to apply anachronisms, in other words, apply insights we have today to observations and ideas that were current in the 16th and 17th century. At the time, we have to realize, doctors were still thinking in terms of humoral medicine of the ancients. Galenic medicine, it's sometimes called. Galen and Hippocrates were often referred to in these texts. Health and disease depended on the right balance of the body fluids, including blood, phlegm, yellow, and black bile. A good example from Shakespeare's time, perhaps even a better example, would be the first edition of the Method of Physic. It's an abbreviated title. The title of the book is much longer. The first edition was published in 1583 by London surgeon and physician Philip Barrow, who wrote in terms of Galenic medicine of the time. The first 12 chapters deal with headache, and chapter 13 is on migraine.
To find out more about the history of migraines, including recognized treatments and 16th and 17th century medical manuals that document both symptoms and specific medical cases of headaches and migraines, along with some answers to questions about related folklore, like the Stone of Madness, for example, you will enjoy our entire conversation with Dr. Kohler on the podcast, available right now at CassidyCash.com/episode 346. While you're there, if you'd like to access bonus visual content related to the show, including museum artifacts and contemporary manuals and period illustrations you can look at while you're listening to our conversation, be sure to check out the Patreon button on the podcast page, where you can join or log in as a patron, and all of these extras will expand right there on the podcast website. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Cassidy Cash, and I hope you learned something new about the Bard. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.